Hi everyone, it's Tammy with Tammy's Handmade Crafts. Today I want to share with you the new animation stamps and dies from Uchi Designs. I was lucky enough to win a set of dies and stamps in an Instagram contest that they held recently, and I just got these in the mail yesterday. They're not even for sale quite yet, but I was lucky enough to get them, and I'm so excited to share them with you. So, here's a card that I made using Uchi's original animation dies and stamps. And it was so much fun, and I loved the animation in them, but I didn't make too many because I had to keep buying the grid paper, and that got a little expensive after a while. So I think Uchi caught on to that, and they have a solution for us. They came up with the animation grid die. Now we can cut as many grids as we want out of our cardstock, and we can make a bunch of cards at very little cost. I'm so excited. And the dies used to go horizontally, but now they've made some that also go vertically. So depending on how you are having it on your card, you can choose what stamp set works best for you. So I really love this set, and I'm excited to show you how to make this simple animated card. I think it's so much easier than the cards that I had made in the past. So I want to show you how to make this. You'll just need a few supplies. First, you'll need your card base, which is 5.5 by 8.5 scored at 4 1/4, which I've done here. Next, you'll need your outer piece, which is 5 1/4 by 4. You'll need the piece that will become your grid, cut at 5 inches by 3 inches. And you'll need a piece of paper that you will stamp on. That's a piece that's 5 by 3 3/4. I also picked the same color as my grid it will eventually become the frame for my card. So you want to make sure that's big enough. The 2 nesting dies, some washi tape to hold your dies in place, some foam tape, some liquid adhesive. I like art glitter glue, and my ATG gun. So let's get started in making this card. First, you'll have your base that you folded in half. You can set it aside. Then you're going to take your outer piece that's cut at 5 1/4 by 4, and you're going to want to take your smallest die, if I can get it up, and put it on your card. Now make sure that when you're selecting your die, that you make sure that your image will fit inside. This fit perfectly, but it wouldn't have worked for the butterfly. So make sure you check it out before you cut. So I wanted mine up at the top. So that's where I placed it, put some washi tape on it, ran it through my die cut machine, and I got a piece like this. Then I took my scrap paper and I laid my 2 dies, the size just up from the one I just cut from, put some washi tape on that, ran it through the die cut, and I came up with a frame that will fit perfectly on the outside of my card. Then you can take your piece that's 5 by 3 and take your die, your grid die, and lay it right down on your paper. Now make sure that you leave a little bit at the top on this one because you're going to need that for your tab, but also try and make it as straight as you can. Put some washi tape on it, run it through your die cut machine, and you'll get a piece that looks like this. And then you have your piece that you'll stamp on. So now we're ready to assemble. So the first thing I do is I take my outer piece that has the opening cut, and I try and center my card on there. Then I take both of them and I try to center it onto my card, about where I think it's going to be on the card. Now I'm going to take some pencil and I'm just going to make some light marks so I know exactly where I'm going to need to stamp my image. And then I'm going to carefully pick up the purple piece, and I'm going to mark the corners of the white piece here, so that now I know exactly where to stamp, and I can remove this piece and I'm ready to go. So now I'm ready to stamp. I like to use my MISTI because if I don't get a great impression the first time, I have a second chance. So the great thing about these new stamps is that all of them either have a flat top or a flat bottom. In this case, it's on both the top and the bottom. So what I'm going to do is place my stamp within my mark so I make sure that it's centered where I want it, and then I'm going to shut the door. When I lift it up, I want to make sure that it lines up along the grid marks. This lines up pretty good. It looks straight to me, so I'm going to call that good, and I'm going to ink it up. I'm using Tim Holtz Distress Oxide Wilted Violet, mainly because it matches my grid paper the best. Make sure you ink it up really good. And I'm ready to press down. And I got a great image. So now I can erase my pencil marks. And that piece is ready. Now I know that I can tape that right down by lining them up in my little marks that I did previously. So I'm going to get out my ATG gun. And I'm going to line it up within those little marks. I don't have to worry about those marks because they're going to be covered up anyway. And there we go. We know it's nice and straight and it's right where we want it. Now we need to create our animation. See, it's already looking good. So we need to create a track for this to run on so it doesn't go ski-wampusy, because if it goes, it's not going to animate quite right. So we want to build our animation. So I'm going to kind of try and center this over that opening. And once I have it centered where I want it and I feel like it's straight, I'm going to do some lines on the side. At the bottom, on the three sides. And then I just want one extra space here so that it's right where I want it. So it doesn't go down too far. We don't want it, you don't want to see the solid part. We want only the grid. So I want to make sure that that's up, that it's right where I want it. And then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to draw a line here, as that's going to be the top. Now I can cut this because I know that's going to be the top of my animated card. And I want this to slide easily. So I'm going to use my foam tape. And this is pretty big. This is a pretty big roll. And it's pretty wide. So I'm going to cut a piece a little smaller than my card, and I'm going to cut it in half. And that should be just about perfect. And I'm going to take the part, not that I cut, but the other side, because I know that's nice and straight. And I'm going to line it up right along that mark, because I know that that's going to fit. And cut it a little long here. Okay. Then I'm going to take the other one and do the same thing and line it up right along that mark. And that will ensure that I have a good track created. Here's another little piece I've already cut, and I'm going to put that along the bottom. That will stop it and keep it from going too far down. And we don't want it to come out the top either. So we're going to put just a little bit up at the top to prevent it from coming out. But we need to have a little thumb hole. So you can take a 3/4 inch circle punch and go about halfway in. I have this handy dandy little punch from Stampin' Up! That they used to carry. I don't have it anymore. But I can go in and cut out right there, and now I have my thumb hole. And that's going to fit perfectly right there. So we have this, we've got our track now, but we've got to create a little tab. So I can see that I want to go a little bit past here. What I'd like to do is scoot this down just a little bit so I can see where it is. Make a little tick mark, make a little tick mark. That's going to be the width of my tab. And I can cut down. I like to cut down. There's almost like a little score mark there from the die. And that's where I cut. So you cut that out and there's your tab. Now, if we put it in the card, it should slide up and down pretty easily. That doesn't seem to be very straight. Let's straighten that out a little bit. There we go. And that should go up and down pretty well. Okay, there we go. It's moving along the track pretty well. It seems to be getting caught up a little bit. It looks like I didn't get this very straight. Try and get that a little straighter. And there we go. That moves a little better. So now I have that track. That's on there. So now all I have to do is remove this tape. I'm going to add just a little bit more at the bottom here just to give it some stability if it's mailed or whatever. So it's on the edges. I'm going to keep my track in there so I make sure it's within the tape and not on the tape. Turn it over very carefully. And then I can center it on my paper. And there's our stamp. Now this is trying to grab the die, so I'm going to move it just a little bit. So what I did is I just put my finger underneath that and kind of lifted that a little bit so it wasn't catching the actual grid as it's moving. And I can move it pretty well. Now if you happen to have May made its action stamp set, she has this great set that has all sorts of little action sayings. And I'm going to use this little one that says pull, and I can stamp it right there. And now it tells them what to do, and they can see the animation. Don't forget to glue on the little frame that you made, which at the moment I can't find. But you can put that on there and your card is done. Embellish it however you want. I just put a couple of flowers and a butterfly on mine, and it turned out great. I also made one using the same technique with this love you animation. I thought that one turned out darling. I also did a butterfly one, but because the grid was just about the same size as my circle, as you can see, there wasn't much extra room there. It fit perfectly. I decided to glue my grid to the back of my base and make the white stamped image be the pull tab, using the same idea with the foam tape to create your track. And there's my butterfly card. But you can also use any of the stamps you may already have and just put the grid going the other direction, and there you go. You can still use those same stamps with this great new die. So I hope that gives you some great ideas of things that you can do with this new stamp and die set. According to their website, it looks like on August 7th, the die itself will be back in stock so that you can order it. And I think I read somewhere that the stamps will be available in about 3 to 4 weeks. So keep a lookout on their website so that you can get a hold of this great stamp set and have some fun animating your cards. If you like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye.